Very good morning to everybody. Good morning. First of all, let me thank the organization for giving me an opportunity to present this topic in front of you. So before entering into the presentation program, let me give an introduction to what I consider as certain deficits in the field of Ayurveda, especially in the academic Ayurveda. And what I am trying to present will be also serving as an attempt to cover the deficiencies that might be existent in the existing academic style of function. So, as a student, Ayurveda, what I felt when I joined Ayurveda college, just like Dr. Musa was telling, I also had very bitter experience, especially when I confronted with the Padartha Vijnana method. Even at one stage, I thought of discontinuing the course. But somehow, those little other options left, so I had to continue as a student of Ayurveda without being convinced, without being satisfied. I had to complete my course, even though I was a better student according to other students and teachers. I was not actually feeling that. The reason was that I was not very convinced about the intellectual status of this science. I was not convinced about the reasonability of this science. I was always doubtful whether I will be able to do a reasonable practice with this kind of knowledge I gathered. So when I came into the college, I was a better practitioner, better than an average practitioner, because I learned practice with a senior physician outside the college. I learned practice, so I was a better practitioner. But true to my heart, the best part of my life also is that I realized that I have not understood this science as a whole. Still, I feel that was the best part of my life, or the best advantage of my life, or that was the best condition I had in my life, that I didn't know it completely. Even with that kind of an understanding, I joined Ayurveda College Coimbatore. And knowingly, I opted for anatomy as a subject, where this kind of a dilemma will not be a problem. As all of you know, you get hardly any doubts in anatomy course. Anatomy, physiology, or pathology, gynecology, whatever question subjects are there, you don't get any major doubts. Or other whatever doubts are there can be directly cleared. Whereas you will confront with a lot of doubts as far as Ayurvedic principles are concerned. And that it seems that it goes always unanswered. So to my experience as a teacher, generally the academic scene of Ayurveda throughout India has a similar phase. We can blame anybody for that, but fact is that any medical course is designed in such a way that the science is getting introduced with these principles with which you will be trying to understand what is the body, what is the normalcy of the body. First part of your study. If normalcy of the body is understood, then only deviations from normalcy can be understood. Deviations from normalcy is known as disease. So the normal structure and functions of the body is understood properly, then only you can understand what is a disease, what is a disease process. These two phases are clear. Normalcy of the body, functions of the body. Accordingly, what are the dysfunctions of the situation? Disease. These two things are clear. Then only you can think of what are your options to manage that. You call it as chikitsa. Okay, this is the purpose of any medical course. Normalcy of the body has to be introduced. Accordingly, disease has to be understood. And combined together, these informations will lead to some calculations regarding how to manage the situation. In that, medicine is one of the factors. Don't think you have medicines for everything. Fine? So this is the purpose of education. And in the first two phases, we thoroughly fail in the field of Ayurveda. Understanding the body is almost 80% done in the modern parameters. Being an anatomy teacher, I can very clearly see it. The knowledge of the body is based on completely anatomy and physiology. And you don't have any doubt about the understandings of anatomy and physiology because who have been educated in that brain right from the first or second standard onwards. So that method of learning is familiar, so you don't even doubt whether the anatomy is correct or not. That much conviction. So the actual fact is that anatomy knowledge, no anatomy will say that knowledge is complete. For example, the knowledge of brain and all. The top anatomy people say only 30% is known, 70% is unknown. But from our field, we think we know everything about the body once we study anatomy. So we don't doubt it because the method of learning, method of science, rather than physical science or Western science, we are already familiar with. From the school days, same method is followed when anatomy and physiology is introduced. So we just easily follow that. Whereas understanding the body from the angle of Ayurveda is terribly missing. Okay? This reflects in the next stage of study. When you have to study the diseases, naturally you have to depend upon pathology. Pathology to understand the disease process for different situations that you may confront in your life. So naturally, disease processes are more convincing in this modern science. There also you don't believe certain diseases like, to be very frank, well-known kind of agree with me or not? Majority of the Ayurvedic people do not even believe in Gulma, which is a major disease according to Ayurveda. Everybody is from third year onwards, no? Was there a junior people first year? From first year, second year? Everybody is clinical? So, you will be surprised to see that the word Gulma is strange to almost Ayurvedic community. But in the remote villages, especially aged people, if you talk, they can explain what is Gulma. It is such a term which is so familiar to the rural public. They even come and tell you that I have Gulma. Whereas an Ayurvedic people will be doubting about what kind of a disease it is. On the famous Vedana books, you can see that it is a abdominal tumor, gaseous tumor. Many interpretations you can see, which is absolutely wrong. So why this is happening? You will be very clear about what is diabetes, but you are not very clear about prameha. You are very clear about anemia, but you are not clear about pump. Because the normals in the body you have learned in a particular method, same method, whatever disease you explain, you are convinced. Whereas explanation of a disease from a different angle, we are not convinced. So we try to correlate with these modern understandings. When it comes to third part of your study, where you are searching for medicines. Towards the last part of the study, final year, everybody becomes alert. Because you have come out of the college, you need to start practicing. So you need medicines, knowledge of medicines. Then everybody becomes alert to find out which plant is good for which disease, which medicine is good for which disease. Then you need only medicines. So understanding the disease, understanding the body has been more convincing in the modern parameters, and medicines are highly. I don't know how we can connect these medicines to such an understanding. But rather it is almost impossible. I say it is impossible to connect in Ayurvedic medicines to a disease which is diagnosed in a modern term. It's almost impossible. Okay, I think this is the general scenario in the academic field of Ayurveda. But naturally you have to resort to this allopathic medicines wherever you need an emergency, you need to address a pain, you need to address acute conditions. So you need the support of other systems to deal with that. Or rather, in some places, that becomes the primary options and Ayurveda becomes secondary options. This is how Ayurveda has been systematically destroyed as well. The system which lasted for 5,000 years without the support of any other branches. Nowadays, even we doubt about the credentials of Ayurveda system as an independent one. This is my basic understanding of what is happening in Ayurvedic academy. Whether the syllabus is changed every 5 years or 10 years, different programs are conducted to revise the syllabus or textbooks. Once it was Ashtanga Sangam, then shifted to Ashtanga Udayam, then shifted to all Samhitas. It doesn't make much of a difference as far as the result is concerned. From the angle of students, I talk from the angle of students, the basic requirement is to identify disease properly, to understand what is happening in disease properly, and think about how to manage the situation using medicines, food, or activities, whatever is needed. This is the requirement of any student who is joining Ayurveda course. 80% of the students wish to become practitioners. So that is a base purpose of the entire science. Few people take up teaching post, don't have a lot of options in the teaching. And very few people go for administrative course. Of late. So the basic requirement of all of you would be to become a doctor who can knowledgeably treat patients. So this is a requirement, and the result of the entire course is like that. What you clearly know is Ayurvedic medicine, but the knowledge of body and disease is in another method. So always there is a lack of coordination. But rather in acute condition, I always used to say, somebody coming with a chest pain, angina, kind of a pain, your immediate requirement to manage the situation, you need a coordinated knowledge. What is happening inside, you must know, then you must be able to talk about how to manage it. So the medicine, the knowledge of medicine is well connected to your understanding of what is happening inside. Suppose there is a situation related to the heart. The first-hand knowledge of the acute situation will be related to heart attack and the medicines like sorbitol. The acute situation, you don't have time to think. You need to react immediately. What medicines you are having is Ayurvedic medicines. To translate that acute situation into an Ayurvedic, it's not an easy thing. So what you know is understanding, and what you have to do is with Ayurvedic medicine, for itself is an acute planning situation for Ayurvedic people, unless you are currently permitted to practice alone. Generally, because of that, Ayurvedic people are not dealing with acute conditions. Only chronic diseases people are comfortable. When you have time, you can think of it, how to manage it. So this is one of the major areas of concern, and this cannot be addressed all of a sudden. In such background, you need to evaluate the importance of a seminar like this. Second thing, I always used to say that a seminar need not be just copied down from what allopathic people do, because in an allopathic seminar you need 20 minutes presentation for a doctor or a speaker, which will go very well with the audience, because the audience and the speaker will have a similar way of understanding. But it's never feelings sometimes. The speaker and the audience are widely different in the thought process. So a speaker given 20 minutes time will say something, and people, audience will be just nodding their head and going back without getting whatever is needed. Is the result of seminar. Generally happening, I will feel. I have been part of organized a lot of seminars and never come to the stage for many years, but I have organized a lot of seminars, national seminar and all, and come to. As a teacher, I have done it. So I say, why should we copy allopathic system? The reality is that each college students come out with a different mindset. Even one state, students are having different understanding of diseases or medicines, whatever you do. Unless the speaker and the audience have a similar thought process, the subject thought is not reaching to the students. So a seminar should be 1 or 2 hours. Let the teacher speak out completely. Then the audience should be allowed to ask questions. Speaker should not just escape like that. Until the audience is convinced about what is being taught. And kind of a system was introduced. And I was the principal of SJS Ideal College. Some of my students are here as teachers. And 20 years back, I organized a seminar in which I requested many teachers to come. Told them that you need to talk minimum 3 hours. Many people found it very difficult. But I managed people. I gave them 3 hours. Till the students felt that they are convinced about the topic, they need to convince. It's not about one topic. So these are certain areas generally we miss. We conduct a seminar for the purpose of just doing it. Whether it serves the purpose or not, that is your primary concern. So in such a context, we need to look into this seminar. I'm happy that the college has come up with a theme which has given an exclusive importance to an Ayurvedic topic. Western topics are taught everywhere in the college. Every colleges, modern parts are taught very similarly, whereas Ayurvedic parts are taught in different ways. So such a theme, such a topic is selected for the seminar. I've been very happy to be a part of it. With such an introduction, let me enter into the topic. Since I told you, this is not about any text. Just to read the text and its meaning, you have translations in almost all languages in India. Or rather, you don't visualize pictures. Something to go beyond the text. That is what is needed. Or interpretation of the text is more important than the text. Okay, we all go by the Vyakyanas of Samhitas. Vyakyanas written by these people. It's good. Vyakyanas Vyakyana. It's good. Like that we see. Vyakyana means interpretation. So I am trying to interpret. Interpretation means the way I understood that fact. It is the dosha. This is just blended term. The way I understood the dosha, I am trying to convey. I am not trying to talk about any text. Text is left beyond the text. The way I understood the dosha of Sattva for a disease process, that is what I am trying to present to you. So don't depend heavily on the text. Everything is having a root connection in the text. But this is reading between the lines, going beyond the topic, beyond the term. Okay? So, one more thing I need to emphasize is that we are all medical students. We are studying medical science. And to my opinion, Ayurveda is not a science. Everywhere throughout the world, we are trying to make it scientific. But it's not a science. Because naturally you have a doubt, then what is a science? Science is something which shows results on repeated experimentation. Okay. Science is a system in which to depend on physical evidence and it should produce repeated results. And we call it as science. The best of the understandings of the science would be supplementary to these procedures. We say Ayurveda is a Shastra. Generally the term Shastra is equated with science as a very general superficial population. But Shastra is entirely different. Shastra is based on logics and reason. Whereas science is based on physical. Okay. Shastra is based on logics and reason, like mathematics. 5,000 plus 5,000 you will not number in tables, isn't it? You don't require 5,000 materials to count. But you know that it is 10,000. Because you know how to add 5 plus 5 with figures. So same logic is added to that, and any number can be calculated based on that without the physical evidence. So there you are working on the mental plane, not on the physical plane. So Shastra is working through the mental plane, where your primary requirement is a logic or a reason. Secondary requirement will be a physical evidence. Science primary requirement will be a physical evidence, logic will be followed. You understand what I say? But this is very important. We all know most of the diseases, we all are searching for physical symptoms, objective symptoms, because modern science speak about that. That's Ayurveda is not like that. You need to take the subjective symptoms which are dominant in the explanations of symptoms. This is a place where we are in dark areas. We just closely watch the Jara explanation. It's not objective symptom. This is what the patient feels, and you cannot read it. Sometimes I like air, sometimes I don't want it. Sometimes I like the sunlight, sometimes I don't want it. This is not objective symptom. This is what the patient feels. Why such subjective symptoms are given this much importance? Because it is a patient who is experiencing the fever. So his experience has to be given primary importance to gauge the suffering of the patient. The person outside his body, how can he understand the depth of suffering he is having? He cannot have it that much. So you are trying to understand the symptoms experienced by the mind of the patient to make it more accurate. May not be accurate, but to make it more accurate, we depend on how the patient is suffering. So subjective experiences are given more importance. The reason is like that, because it is Shastra, it's not science. Or that may be some of the major symptoms sometimes. Sandhaho Deka Manasa. How many of us believe that the mind is having Sandhaho? We don't actually believe. But book says Sandhaho is the cardinal symptom of Jara. Sandhaho of mind. Such a concept is not there in other science. The reason is that this is Shastra, where you are looking at the body mainly through the mental plane than the physical. But science depends heavily on the physical plane. That's why objective symptoms are given more important, subjective symptoms are less important. Right? So you will come across many areas where this understanding will be helping to understand the overall picture. Right? So this is not a science, but rather you have to correct it as Shastra. Allopathy is a science, rather medical science. This is a Shastra which gives you the knowledge of life in which the medical part is given importance. That's all. It's a knowledge of entire life. Okay. So, next. So, I would like to put this as Ayurveda, as a Shastra, where you are getting a total knowledge of life. Whether you require it or not, that is a different matter. It's a total knowledge of life you are perceiving. From the same method, you are trying to understand what is body, what is disease, what are medicines. It's a total knowledge of life. In that, the body, disease, medicines are a part of it. Fine? So if you have the total understanding of what is life, then only you can understand what is a disease process, what is happening to the body. These are some areas which has a difference with other science. And naturally, it is based on logic and reason, like mathematics. So it becomes very similar to mathematics also, where your calculations in the mind is more important. You cannot by heart a problem and write an examination. Somebody who is very comfortable with mathematics can easily understand. You cannot by heart problems, and some of the figures are different in your question, that you cannot do it. You need to by heart the methodology of solving a problem, then go for an examination. So methodology you are getting in the mind, thought process in the mind. Same is the position with Ayurveda. If you have a methodology of your own, you will be dealing with this science effectively. That's it. Next. Second, so when you talk about the entire life, so I'm trying to stretch the Nidana part back into the normalcy and later into the Chikitsa part. Then only you get the connectivity, the coordination between what is Nidana. Okay, Nidana stretched back, you must be able to understand what is the normalcy of the individual. So looking at this understanding, what is an individual? According to Ayurveda or according to Indian thought process, what is an individual? The individual has got a physical body, a metaphysical mind, and a person who is controlling the mind and body. The simple understanding of who is an individual. Okay, this also is slightly different from the other science. Individual has a physical body which is basically constituted with indriyas, sense organs. Then you have a metaphysical mind, and you have a person or a faculty who is controlling the mind and the body. You agree with that? Your individual experience. You agree? If you want to walk from here to outside, you know that legs will not be moving as such. First you need to create a thought in the mind, and thought has to be transformed into kinetic energy, which goes into the tissues, cells and all. That is how it starts moving. So you need to create a thought. Thought is transformed into energy plane, which is transcending into the physical plane to affect a movement. This is how somebody is moving, somebody is walking, somebody is doing anything in this world. There should be some faculty which initiates a thought. There should be somebody who is initiating. That faculty in our science we say Purusha. We say even the treatment you are doing for Purusha, Karma Purusha. Fine. So there is an understanding that gross physical body is there. Then there is a plane which is beyond physical, that is known as mind. And there is a controlling faculty which is forever, it's not dying. And this is a general understanding. Just leave it as a fact. Do not take it 100% unless you are convinced. And this applies to the understanding of the whole universe. This is where we are getting a methodology derived from the Vedas, Upanishads or philosophies. Rather we say Sankhya. This actual connection between the philosophy and idea. And this is where we lack a strong connection. In colleges, philosophies are never taught. Or it's very difficult to teach us. It's not that easy. The methodology is derived from philosophies, and that methodology is followed in all Sankhya's. So that methodology is very closely connected to Sankhya philosophy, especially. Sankhya philosophy is the way by which you are looking at the whole universe. Naturally, you will identify these three planes: physical plane, metaphysical plane, and absolute plane. And the physical plane we say Panchamahabhutas. It's not that knowledge, it is a method how you observe the world. That methodology is taken into Ayurveda. That you are applying to understanding a body or a disease or medicine or a treatment, whatever it is. So the connection between Vedas, Upanishads and philosophy is that you need a methodology in this Shastra. A methodology is taken from Vedas, Upanishad and the philosophy. Next. This is how it is well connected. Indian thought process is well derived from Vedas, Upanishad and philosophy. They speak about what is absolute knowledge one can gather about the entire universe. And similar thing you can see here, the philosophy will be talking about what is the physical world around you. Without antagonizing your understanding of the Upanishads, which is equal to understanding the mental plane. Another area we can see that mental diseases are not taught in Ayurveda. The reason is that mind is not explained. Mental diseases are explained, mind is not explained in Ayurveda. Is there an explanation of mind? Ayurveda, mind is not explained, whereas mental diseases are explained. Because the normalcy of the mind is not explained, in many of the colleges, this is only a reading subject. Mind is actually explained in Upanishads, certain philosophies, or spirituals, like Brahma Sutra. So without knowing the normalcy of mind, how can you understand a mental disease? This is practically not working in our field. Fine. Naturally, you need the support of psychology to understand what is mind, how it is deviated, and there is a disease process. Then Ayurvedic medicine cannot be easily connected to that. It's not an easy process. So you can see the Upanishads, some of the Upanishads, actually the mind is explained, or even Bhagavad Gita, the mind is explained. So the understanding the mind is explained in some of the connecting subjects. Where you need to remember, Susila says, Ekam Shastra Madhyamo, Nivitya Shastras. This is not to study other science. These kind of Shastras, which are complementary to Ayurveda, should also be developed. Then only you get a clear picture of what are the connected areas of Ayurveda. So Upanishads and all talks about what is mind of an individual. Then Vedas talks about what is absolute knowledge. Where the absolute knowledge is important. So what do you mean by 100% knowledge? What happens in a faculty which is identified itself with knowledge. So this is the this is the picture of the overall universe. We are concerned with an individual. So you also have a similar mechanism in your learning process, thinking process. Whatever you are learning primarily through the sense organs. Secondly, it goes to the mind, where these informations are processed with wisdom to get a clear knowledge of it. Okay. Prasanna Atmendriya. You say Prasanna Atmendriya. Prasanna means clear, clarity. So primary knowledge is gathered to the sense organs. Secondary thing, you are applying logic, reasoning to that through the mind, through the thought process. As a result of that, you, the person, is getting, or I get the total knowledge of what I am trying to get. Is understanding of knowledge formulation mechanism in So what I say is, the way you look at the whole world should be known, because you are a part of the universe. We are trying to understand what is the individual. So we know how you look at the whole universe, then it will be easy to understand an individual. Same method you are applying to understand the individual. So then this kind of an understanding of physical plane, metaphysical mind, and the Purusha or absolute plane, that is taken and applied into the individual body. So naturally we say Panchamahabhutas constitute everything in the world, including your body. It is superficially understood, or people don't agree that. Difficult to understand. Homo sapiens have always this five-dimensional way to understand everything in the world, because you have only five sense organs. To look out, you have only five sense organs. So whatever you see, it will be in five-dimensional way. Whatever knowledge you are gathering, it will be five-dimensional. So you talk about what is the constituent elements of the world, it will be of five varieties. These five varieties of knowledge regarding the constituent elements, five varieties of knowledge is known as Panchamahabhutas. It's not even matter. Five varieties of knowledge regarding the constituent elements of the world, we call it as Panchamahabhutas. So physical world is made up of Panchamahabhutas, which are nothing but extensions of the five sense organs. That's all. So knowledge. It's only on your mind it is existing. Fine. That is basic understanding of the body. Five elements can be identified with the corresponding sense organs. Like fire can be identified only with eye. Light and color reflected by the fire element can be identified only with eye, because both are similar. Like that, you have only five sense organs. So five elements can only be identified. That is a maximum as far as the constituent elements of the world is concerned. So everything is made up of five elements. That is about the structure of the body. The five elements are coming together in the body, live body. The body which exists for nearly 100 years. These five elements are put together. And one area it is growing, in another area it is disintegrating. That is why it is getting destroyed in 100 years. So this process is happening within these five elements. And whatever changes are happening, whatever is reflected by these elements, whatever properties are reflected by these elements, they are known as doshas. Even in science, I think whatever you study, like solids or liquids or gases or ether, or you study about electricity, but you are actually studying about the characteristics reflected by the matter, and you claim that the matter is known. So as far as we are concerned, we are trying to understand the characteristics or the reflections of the matter, and then we say matter is known. Here also it is the same procedure. You have Pancha Mahabhutas, they are only knowledges. Whatever they are reflecting, they are inseparable gunas, properties. And we are dealing with those properties. So these properties are collectively known as doshas. As I told you, Pancha Mahabhutas are mixed together in a body, living body, from the gross plane to the subtle plane. So whatever is reflected by these Pancha Mahabhutas, those properties will be subjected to change every second according to what you eat, what you do not eat, what you act. According to these things, certain things are added, certain things are deleted. So that will be reflected through this addition or deletion of properties. So what we refer as properties, they are subjected to change every second. Hence we call it as function. Whereas Pancha Mahabhuta remains same. So they are structure. The structural understanding of the body is Pancha Mahabhuta, whereas changes happening to that is reflected through the doshas. So we say functional understanding of the body is the dosha. Is that clear? Not very clear. Clear? This is the reason why we lack structural anatomy. Okay, structure is meant for functioning, isn't it? Anatomy gives primary stress on the structural understanding. We give primary focus on functional understanding. We also have understanding of structure, but functional understanding is important. Or rather we say Prithvi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akasha, which is important part. Prithvi is important part, Vayu is important. Vayu is important part. It clearly shows where you are focusing. You don't deny that there is Prithvi, there is no Prithvi like that. There is a gross plane. Gross plane is meant for conducting a function. You have a heart as an organ. Are you talking about the grossness of the heart? Are you giving importance to the function of the heart? Heart is known for its important function. Isn't it? So you apply stress on the function, not on the structure. Structure is there, more importance is given to the function. So we give more importance to the functional part of the body. Its structure is very healthy, functions will be very smoothly happening. So all functions are attributed to Vayu, which is responsible for the movement. All functions are resultant movements of different activities. Even a transformation from dasa to delta is a movement. So what is responsible for the movement is known as Vayu. So we focus on how far this movement is taking place smoothly. This is your concern. So doshana, pravaru, anilaha. Okay, Vayu is important. Your concern is how far this movement is happening smoothly, even in the subtle plane, not in the gross plane. Electrons moving around, that's also a movement. Transformation is a movement. Growth is a movement. It's an expansive movement, growth. So everything is a movement. The description of Vayu, by Charaka you will understand, entire universe is based on Vayu. That is what makes it life. It applies to the body also. Vayu is Sampradaya. Okay. So we are giving more importance to the subtle plane, which is functional. Gross plane is structural. So we also have Prithvi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akasha. Prithvi, Jala makes the gross plane. Vayu and Akasha makes the subtle plane. So we know that the functions are done by Vayu in Akasha, in space. So that is more important because your functional status for 100 years is based on Vayu. Vayu leaves the body, you are physically dead. Okay. So why there is a lack of structural descriptions in Ayurveda? This is the reason. Structure is meant for doing its function. So your focus is how far functions are properly done. Functions are impaired, then you assume that the structure is weak. You don't have to wait for a symptom. You are assuming structure is weak, so movement is not smooth. Vayu is not moving well. So the importance of Vayu as far as the body is concerned. So the understanding of Tridosha. Okay, one more thing I would like to say. The concept of Panchamahabhuta, as long as human beings have 5 sense organs, most advanced among the creatures of the universe, or 5 advanced sense organs. So you can have only 5 constituent elements identified as long as humans are alive. So this theory can never be changed. That's why you call it as Nitya. Okay. As long as Panchabhuta theory is holding, Tridosha also can never be changed. Concept of Tridosha can never be changed. It includes everything in the body. Whether we understand or not, that's a different issue. It is inclusive of all changes that is happening in the body. Okay? So there is a permanent status for the Panchabhuta and Tridosha. And Tridosha theory is concerned with the changes happening in the body from time to time or second to second. We know that we say Deshavida Parishna, Ushim Desham Balangal, Alam Pragati Maya, Sattvam Satyam, Tadakaram Avasthaja. Avasthaja means the status of Ushim Desham and God with regard to the dosha. Then and there. So you are closely, somebody who is very alert and intelligent will be closely observed. Who is closely observing the changes happening in the body in terms of Vada Pitta Kapha. Then only you will understand what is to be done to deal with that situation. So we agree that every second it is changing. Body is changing every second. One who is able to understand that change in terms of Vada Pitta Kapha will be an efficient decision. You need to be alert for that. Okay, open-minded for that. So Tridosha Panchabhuta theory is the permanent theory as long as we have 5 sense organs to look out at anything in the universe. Okay, at anything. There is Ayurvedic knowledge, electric knowledge, any method of knowledge formulation. You are initiating to the 5 sense organs. The 5 are well advanced in Homo sapiens. Animals and all certain faculties will be more advanced, certain less advanced. Humans have all advanced 5 sense organs. As long as 5 sense organs are there, this theory can never be changed. Okay. It is an inclusive of any change that will occur inside the body. In the body. Fine? Next. simply speaking, what happens to the body from birth to death? We speak very simply, it's a matter of 100 years. Somebody who is living for 1,000 years, this is a small life. You look at a ant or a small creature telling that it's living for 1 hour, 2 hours. Like that, if you take 100 years, what is happening to the body? What do you mean by a transformation from birth to death? As far as the physical plane is concerned. Okay? According to our understanding, it is like that. We are actually starting from the subtle plane. According to our understanding, the person is taking birth. Saptaha Swakarma Klasa Chodidaha Karpa Sampradade Yukti Vashat Agni Divarno. Saptaha Karpa Sampradade. Saptaha Saha Karpa Sampradade. He is taking the shape of the Dharma. He is taking a physical body. Believe that somebody else is taking the physical shape and living for 100 years. The body is left. He is again going back to from where he has come. It's a part of philosophy. You are concerned with the physical body. So functional plane and physical body is controlled by that person. And what do you mean by changes in the physical plane? So he is coming from the plane where there is nothing. Then you are getting a physical structure and it is growing. And it's again going back to nothingness. So we say Akasha Vayu. This looks very similar to the Big Bang theory which is going on. Now they are trying to find out the God's particle, something with a big explosion, the whole world has started. So before that there was almost nothing from the physical world is coming. They also say the same thing. A plane where you cannot put a physical parameter like mass, volume and all. From such a plane, physical matter is coming. Or rather, Einstein's theory. Matter is contained with only energy. To go deep into the matter, there is nothing but energy. So from that plane only the matter has come out. Same is reflected here. From the space where there is nothing, matter bound space, matter is gradually developed. This is your physical plane. So that subtle plane you see Akasha Vayu. When slowly changes are taking place in the presence of heat, you call it as Agni. Then again grows a plane of Jala and Prithvi. The same reason again it is going down. And finally body is disintegrated where the matters are destroyed. Going back to subtle. So with Panchabhuta you can say the subtle part is Akasha and Vayu. Whatever properties are reflected, this is known as Vada Dosha. And Agni with Jala, we call it as Pitta Dosha, their properties. And this is a continuous process. Prithvi and Jala, you call it as Kapha. So the gross plane is Kapha. Whatever properties are reflected by the gross body is Kapha. In which the presence of heat is making the changes, doing the destruction. Like food is destroyed by the Agni here. Once it is destroyed, body can take it. So this destruction happens in every small part of the body with the help of fire, Agni or Pitta. So that the subtle plane movements are happening. This understanding of body. And this is applicable to every unit of the body, or rather every second of your life. If you have to die in 100 years, it has to start from now itself. cells have to die the moment they are born. Anabolism and catabolism. So the process of destruction starts the moment the process of construction is initiated. Both are happening together. And that process we are doing like this on. Other ways like this. Okay. So the dosha is there throughout the body, and that is subjected to change every second of it. As a result of that, the final destruction happens at the time of undertakings. But it is starting right from the beginning. The definition of Jara you may be knowing. Janman Deva Mohamaya. At the time of birth, at the time of death, you say Jara happens. Jara is a basic process of destruction, just burning out. Burning out the cell, burning out the structure. What's the meaning of Jara? Jara. It happens at the time of birth. Once the structure is born, you start the process of disintegration. That's the meaning. And after 100 years, a proper destruction. So Janma Deva Mohamaya, Jara is the meaning. So what do you mean by destruction? Destruction happens to be Prithvi and Jala with the presence of Agni. So the resultant atmosphere is Vayu and Akasha. So do you understand that? The properties reflected by these elements. So we just look at the body, what you feel normally. As far as the gross structure is concerned, gross structure is Prithvi and Jala. Empty matter with the presence of Jala. This is the matter of the body. Whatever properties reflected by that, you call it as Kama. Kama properties you know very well. Basically it is Snigdha and Sita. This is your feel. Snigdha is your body. That means your body is not dry. I think everybody can easily feel that. Your body is not dry. The healthy status, you should not feel dry. So it is not that. And you should not feel hot, unnecessarily hot. That means Sita. So Sita and Sita we put the feel of it. These two are the basic properties of Kapha. And Kapha forms a blue on which basis is happening. The blue structure is Kapha. Its understanding is Nitya Sita. Right? So Sita can be maintained if there is an element of heat on the other side. So you need Agni. With the presence of Agni only you are maintaining a Sita nature. So neither hot nor cold. So both are there on either sides. You don't feel hot, so you call it a Sita. That is possible if there is a optimum heat on the other side. So that the Snigdha is maintained. Presence of Jala is maintained. We know that dehydration, severe dehydration is physical death. In it, diarrhea, say dehydrated. On the spot we can die. Dehydrated, you remain about dehydration. Jala part is completely gone, it remains dry. We are telling that it is Snigdha because of the presence of Jala. And Jala has Sita nature. So as long as Jala is properly maintained in the body, your structure is healthy, Prithvi is strong. This is meaning. This is the plane where you are getting disease. You must understand. So it is maintained with the help of Agni. This is the Pragati state or normalcy or Swastha state. Swastha means here it is Swastha. Natural state of the body. Siddha, Sita and Agneya nature. This is what you feel. Every individual will be feeling. You don't feel dry normally. That means such a feel that dryness is not felt, we call it as Snigdha. It's not oily. It's not oily. Unctuous means to a level where you don't feel dry. That means proper amount of jala is there. You know body is 75% water. No? The whole world is also like that. 70% of the world is water. So presence of water makes it smooth, unctuous. We call it as Snigdha. Okay. And Snigdha means you don't feel hot. This is possible if there is an element of heat on the other side. You see, Snigdha, Shita and Agneya is the normalcy, Prakriti, where you are getting changes leading to diseases. What are the changes happening when this is altered? Snigdha can be gradually turned into Ruksha nature. Snigdha is reduced, you call it as Ruksha. Okay? Snigdha is reduced, you gradually say relatively Ushna. So it process from Snigdha Shita into Ruksha Ushna. Snigdha Shita is the Prakrita state body. Ruksha Ushna will be the Vikrita state. When this is Prakriti, this will be the Vikriti of the body. Okay, this is how we understand. Is that clear? This is clear in terms of understanding of doshas. This is interpretation of dosha. Let's forget about body. What you understand, what you see on the body, what you feel on your own body. So, to you subjective symptoms are more important in Ayurveda. All these things you can directly experience. It's not like allopathy. These changes anybody can visualize, anybody can experience on different occasions on your own body. So, Prakrita state is Snigdha and Shita, maintained by Agni. Same Agni can contribute. The Agni is increased. The Snigdha is dry to become Ruksha, and Shita disappears to become Ushna. This is the disease process. It's just like you just plug a plant, put in a hot sun. So it is getting dry and getting destroyed. This is what we explain. Same procedure applies to the body. Normally it is with water. Stuff is Prithvi, earthy element. You say tooth, bone, everything is made up of earthy elements. 75% earthy elements in the tooth. He has to say body is here. The grooves, matter, everything in the universe is earth. It becomes live when jala is added. So proper level of jala is added, it becomes smooth, where you can make it into any form, any shape. Like clay, when water is added, you can make any shape out of it. It becomes flexible. That is what is known as a live body. That is maintained with Agni, optimum level of Agni. It's basically usage of Agni. So that movements are possible everywhere through the space provided by us. So everything, any change in the body is a movement. So that change is happening. So this is the normalcy of the body, this is the Vikrita state of the body. Or Prakriti, Vikriti, you call it as. Normalcy, you are having an idea, then only you understand how the disease is initiated. Okay, this is what I say. Like, deeper understanding of what is dosha. In terms of dosha, changes can be interpreted. So, those brain to talk in terms of Kapha. This will be the general understanding. Kapha forms the loose part of the body. And that is maintained with the pitta, heat of pitta, so that the volume can move smoothly. The disease process, the Snitta nature of the kapha will be disturbed by the defective assimilation process represented by agni. Certain areas Snitta can be accumulated, certain area Snitta can be deficient, or you are not supplying sufficient Snitta. So remember that the best food is, the basic food should be Madhura Pradhana, isn't it? Should be Madhura Pradhana. Madhuram is just supporting kapha, isn't it? Slash Madhuram. So we say the best food is Madhuram. Because your structure is kapha. This is what you are nourishing every day. But it has to be assimilated with the help of agni or pitta. If that is having a defect, either there will be an accumulation in some parts or deficiency in other parts. Says Raghu. Adit Pravakir Sambhova. Either there will be an excess accumulation, so that other part it is deficient. Sometimes accumulation will be disturbing or deficiency will be disturbing. But both happens when the agni is not doing normal assimilation process. Normal process of destruction is not doing properly. The result is that the Snitta nature of the structure becomes gradually ruksha. So we say all diseases, the kapha, pitta, vata is involved, but gradually all diseases become vata prominent. All major diseases, three doshas are involved, and after some time everything becomes vata dominant as per the text. This is the main point. Okay, in terms of dosha you can describe like this. In terms of gunas of doshas we describe it earlier. Is a change happening, and when the dosha nature is resulted, see body is swaromaya, isn't it? Whatever you are eating reaches everywhere in the body through passages. So every structure remains in the form of a passage to call it as swagas. So the swagas should be smooth to have a normal movement. It should be sufficiently Snitta to conduct everything properly. Snitta is reduced, gradually becomes ruksha. Then its movement is gradually shrinking. So that ruksha status we call it as vata. Okay, when Snitta is reduced, other words we say ruksha is increased. And that status it cannot conduct further, it cannot transport things further when its function is disturbed. And that impaired function is what is known as a disease. That's a simple phrase. So you have a kapha dominant body maintained with the help of pitta, so that movements are smoothly happening in every organ or system of the body. This is our understanding. The structure is kapha, Snitta nature, smooth. And smoothness is maintained with the presence of heat. Pitta. These two are correct. Movements are happening everywhere. Heart, it is a smooth muscle movement. Nervous system, it is a convection. Intestine is a peristaltic movement. Whatever it is. Or cellular level, it is osmotic movement. Electrons level, it is a electron moving around the nucleus. All movements are happening smoothly. If the structure is smooth enough, Snitta, it has to be maintained by agni, pitta. If something goes wrong with agni, the smooth nature is reduced, you say dryness is coming. Then gradually the movements are disturbed. According to the way it is established, according to the structure involved, according to the systems involved, we name different diseases. you don't care for that Ruksha nature, further it will be damaged. Initial stage is only a weakness. If you don't manage it, that structure will be damaged and there is a permanent dysfunction. Okay? So you got a general understanding of what is disease? This process will be further explained by Panchadarshana Vidhanas. Same process is magnified by Panchadarshana Vidhanas. This is only an introduction to Panchadarshana Vidhanas. Is it okay? Last 10 or 15 minutes, you must feel free to ask questions. There is no examination, so don't feel afraid. You feel free to ask questions. If you just start with Panchadarshana Vidhana, you won't understand anything. It's only a superficial example. What is explained in Panchadarshana Vidhana, you must have a background knowledge. In the Panchadarshana Vidhana, you will be more thorough with the book and its interpretations. You remember the Madhava Vidhana says, after the explanation of Jara, you know that? Bhagavad says, so disease process is explained, entire disease process explained after Jara he says, for less intellectual people, Mudas, other diseases can be explained. So he means that if the disease Jara is explained well, same process you can understand in all other diseases. What's the meaning of it? Any disease you will be visualizing changes from this angle. The structure is different, functions are different. But basic damage done to the body is visualized in the same angle. So whatever is the disease, name of the disease, why do you worry? When new disease comes, why do you worry about it? We will be able to put that changes into this basic understanding. The same method will be applied to identify a plant in terms of its properties. Same angle you need to apply in analyzing a plant, medicine, or a compound, whatever it is. Then only you will be able to connect these things. Okay? So this is an introduction to Panchadarshana Vidhana. We enter into that Panchadarshana Vidhana. So another understanding the body is basically body is just what you are eating, isn't it? Anna Bhutani Jayante. The physical structure is what you are eating. So what you are eating is subjected to physical transformations before it subtracts into energy, but there is no physical form. So the physical transformation is divided into 7 stages. We call it as 7 dhabus. Each stage is almost energy, where the mass and volume will not be. Then it is physical form. So the changes happening into what you eat. Once you enter the body, that state is known as rasada. Then it is subjected to different transformations. We call it as 7 dhabus. Basically, all these stages are related to the snigdha content. Each constituent is handled. Everything is snigdha dominant. Okay. Functionally, there will be a difference. In Rakta Dhabu, you can have a presence of Pitta. Or rather, Dasa Dhabu is Snigdha and Shida, Rakta Dhabu is not Shida. The deviation from the Shida nature towards Ushna, but it's not Ushna. Deviation is there. So you say functionally it is Pitta. Second one is Asti, which is the closed part of the body, definitely with Kapha. Closest part of the body, most stula part. The closest part will be Prithvi. So stuff is Kapha, Snigdha itself. And what is the difference between the Medas and Asti? Medas is purely Snigdha, which is getting dry by the Vata nature. So the drying process is more prominent in the Asti. So you say functionally it is Vata dominant, structurally it is Kapha. So all other Rahus are directly Kapha related, means Snigdha. And what you take as main food, either rice or wheat, through the world, Snigdha in nature. What you say as best food, milk or ghee, Snigdha in nature. We say Madhura Pradha. So basically our food will be Snigdha in nature because your stuff is Snigdha. You are maintaining minimum level of Snigdha in your body. So throughout this is transformed with the presence of heat, and finally the physical format is gone. It is just like getting the energy from it. We call it as ojas. But the physical brain is clear. So this is an understanding of different angle. You are talking about the same body. Given little more physical importance, you say this is the body, where you are visualizing the disease process. And this stuff also will be reflecting the properties related to the oceans. From a different angle, you are talking about the structural body. Nothing contradictory. You need a platform to have a disease. This is a platform. Okay, this is a structural platform on which the disease process is happening. And remember, the transformation is happening right from birth to death. It's an ongoing process. Whether you have disease or not, it is never stopped. It's a continuous process. Okay? And so we know that since the transformation process is continuous and related to Saptadhadus or the doshas, disease process also will be continuous. It cannot be stagnated. A deviated levels of doshas will be reflected on these dhadus which are subjected to continuous change. So disease process is never stagnant. It is completely an ongoing process. Fine. So the ongoing process, we have divided that into a maximum of 5 categories of informations. There's a maximum information you can gather about the disease process in the body. Every word, everything may not be required sometimes, but when Shastra speaks, it will speak about 100%. Purna. That is the maximum knowledge you can collect about the disease process. It will be explained. So it is basically divided into, or it is viewed from 5 different angles. Entire process is viewed from 5 different angles so that you can have maximum information about that change, about the disease. Okay? So they are, I put it in a different order for better understanding. Group 1. It's a symptom which is nothing but the systemic failure. This is what you are concerned with. The system is not doing its function. Or this is what is reflected outside. This is your concern. You know very well that the system is connected with the rest of the system. It's not independent. Okay. Any system is connected with entirely rest of the system. But what you see is a systemic failure, or organ failure. Okay, structure is failed, organ is failed, or a system is failed. So what is reflected there is the symptoms we call it as rupa or lakshana. You see. Second, this must be naturally. So these functions you can attribute to Vada, actually. All functions are Sarvaha Kriyaha Tasmin Pradipatti Sharirina. Vada functions you can see, all major functions are attributed to Vada. So when some functions are failed, you say Vada is not moving Vada. So it will be attributed to Vada. The reason should be a failure on the part of Pitta and Kapha. The function is impaired means Vada is not moving. As a meaning, reason will be naturally connected to Pitta or Kapha. So it cannot happen all on a sudden. One fine morning you cannot have a systemic failure. Unless there is a injury, Vighata. You have two ways of provoking Vayu. One is Abhighata, other is Darucha. All major disorders are resulting from Darucha, weakness to different structures. Second one is direct injury, where function is impaired. So that is also what we call it as Vayu. But here we are talking about other diseases. It must start with small symptoms. So prior to that, you would have got some symptoms which you have not taken care of. It may be related or unrelated or even opposite. But some kind of failures will be there in the body, and that remain unattended, gradually leading to a major failure. Major failure only you say rupa. So the minor symptoms that existed prior to that, for maybe limited period or even a long period, we call it as prodromal symptoms. Then, so prodromal symptoms, again they are failures related to Vada, Pitta, Kapha. Their only concern is how they are getting connected to other people. But that is understanding in the body. Whatever symptom you get, you put it in three categories. Vada, Pitta, Kapha. Wherever there is a doubt, you can even ask. I used to say leading questions, which is prohibited in other adjacencies. Because to get subjective experience, you need leading questions. Objective things you can read. Subjective feel you need leading questions. You can get it to confirm whether Vada, Pitta, Kapha is involved. Okay. So once Vada, Pitta, Kapha is understood in terms of symptoms and prodromal symptoms, then you can further confirm by putting those things into Nidanas. Actual positive factors. You cannot have a systemic failure without a positive hand from your side. That is known as Nidana. We will come to that later. So again you are trying to confirm the Vada, Pitta, Kapha status of symptom by dragging it down to Purva and Nidana. Nidana also you are trying to categorize the Vada, Pitta, Kapha category. Every information is connected to Vada, Pitta, Kapha category because that is the functional status of the body. So once it is dragged back, book will say Nidana Purva, that is order. But your understanding is what you get directly is Rupa. So your duty to track backwards to understand what is a Purva. Connection of doshas in the Purva status so that you get convinced with the Rupa. Dosha connection of the Rupa can be convincing. To confirm it further, you need to go into Nidana. Actual positive factors. this much information is gathered, then you will be able to say this is what has happened in the body. If these nidhanas, these symptoms started, you ignore, so it develops into a systemic failure like this, producing this kind of symptoms. This explanation you must be able to make. And that information is known as sampranti. So sampranti is a knowledge where you are confident of explaining the changes in the body in terms of vata. Okay? Still the dosha involvement may be little unclear. Because the moment you say gunas, doshas, you are working on the mental plane. Isn't it? I say dryness of the lips. You travel in a windy atmosphere, lips are dry. You put some jelly or butter. The dryness, how can you breathe physically? Is there a parameter for that? But everybody can understand that. I say jaggery is sweet, sugar is sweet, honey is sweet. Everybody knows that it is different from one and is different from the other. And you have only one term sweet to describe that. Subjectively you can feel the differentiation, isn't it? This is what we say. The moment you say guna, you are dealing in the mental plane, not in the physical plane. You can feel it directly. But through the physical parameter, you cannot explain. The feeling of jaggery, the feeling of sugar, you cannot physically explain, but you feel the difference to the mind. So the moment you say guna, you are dealing through the mental plane. That's okay. Doshas you are understanding through the mental plane. That is why the importance of subjective symptoms in any disease cause. So once you get the rupa, nidana connected very well to the doshas, kapapita vata, then you will be able to say that this is what has happened in the body. That is known as sattva. That means this is equal to dosha, dushna, rasya, rushi, vedana, mala. This is a general sattva. This way doshas are vitiated, this way dharus are affected, this way manas are affected. So these swagasas are having the disposition. It's a meaning. So in such way you must be able to make out an understanding of overall changes in the body. And you say something. Still symptoms are mixed that you are not able to confirm that. One more option is left here, where you are able to basically apply either a snigdha thing or a ruksha thing, or a ushna thing or a sida in the form of a food or a medicine or even an activity. Pushada anna viharana upayogam sudama. So only to confirm the dosha status, you have gathered all with the other 4 steps. Not to go for a trial and error. So almost confirmed with the rest of the things. Just to complement that, either a snigdha or a dosha application, or an ushna or sida application. So this is the basic 4 factors involved with 4 elements. So you get confirmed with whether these are involved or not. So nothing to increase the present situation, only to confirm that your understanding is correct. So it's only a positive trial, no negative trial is indicated in our system. So positive trial either by activity or a food or even a medicine. To again get connected to the dosha understanding. This dosha is dominant, this dosha is less like. And that is known as reversal. So 5 angular observations just to get connected, coordinated knowledge of what has happened in your body. This is the maximum you can get. Certain diseases you may not require all these things, that is definitely true. Certain diseases, in spite of doing this, you may not be still clear. That's why such an option, a part of the treatment, even if it's here. Sometimes you can just confirm the presence of doshas. So, what you clearly need to understand is, symptom is next. Root or lakshan is the main symptom, which is nothing but a systemic failure to conduct the normal movements. According to the system involved, you name different. Can be cardiac problem, can be intestinal problem, whatever it is, kidney problem. The disease means that structure is not doing its movement properly. What's the meaning? So it is a result of a Vata atmosphere when the movement is not smoothly happening. Then only you call it as a disease. You understand? Every unit of the body you have Kaba, Pitta, Vayu. Every basic unit you have Kaba, Pitta, Vayu. So Vayu is doing function. The function is impaired, then only you say disease. So Vayu movement is disturbed. This is the dysfunction or impaired function of the structure. Whether you call it as a disease process. Okay. The reason for that Vata atmosphere, the dry nature of that part, can be Pitta, can be Kapha. Is that clear? This is overall understanding. The structure is dry, Dusha nature. So you say Vata down. Why it has happened? It can be due to the Pitta increased level of heat, dryness of the structure. Or you are not taking sufficient vitamins. It also can gradually dry the structure. So a dopa or a systemic failure or impaired function, when you say disease, it means that Vata is directly involved. Okay? That is the importance of the dopa. Next. So Purva, as I told you earlier, same process can be started much earlier. Sometimes symptoms can be just opposite, sometimes symptoms can be same in lesser grade, sometimes totally different symptoms can be there. So that will be guiding force, especially see Adhisara, Malabandham can be a Purva. Because I understand, Koshka, excess of movement, lack of movement, both are due to the Vata. So you say, Adipravati, Sangodha. So in this time, for example, the movement is less, you are constipated. As Vata, movement is more, it is Adhisara. Both Vata dosha is important. So both situations, symptoms are opposite, still you call it as Purva. Certain areas like that, you see rather than distance Swasu, or as information. More than smell of air can happen before the blood vomiting or the Pitta happens. So certain symptoms can be reflecting of what would come next. It may be related to the main symptom, it can be opposite, but because we have a clear picture of what would be the basic understanding of Purva in terms of Vata. This is your not related to main symptom. In terms of Vata, it also will be giving a direct proof. So Purva is very important in understanding the main symptom. In understanding dosha connections of the main symptom. Okay? To confirm the dosha connections gathered from Rupa and Purva, You have Nidana, which is directly connected to the Aharas, the Kshatriyas, or they are connected to the doshas. This is what you are searching for. This is what you are searching for. What kind of good habits one is following in terms of his habit, in terms of the place where you live, like that, and its connection to other habit. So over a period of time, you are close to the trial to the body. When you are using that, you are confirming that gradually there is a neutral nature of value established through the food. Carry instant propagating factors. And viharas, activities which are straining for the body over a period of time. Continuous sitting, continuous standing, that kind of activity. Some part of the body is more utilized than the rest of the body. So that part, it will be easily getting weakened. And you call it as vada nature. So ahara, vihara, and immediate causative factors. Then you have factors like emotional balance. Chinta, shokam, bhayam, serving as vata and vihara. See it? What do you indicate as vata and vihara? Chinta, shokam or bhayam is directly told what as a disease. Chinta means somebody who is having the nature of thinking too much. Individual natures you can identify. Some people will be thinking too much. Whatever they get, they think too much about it. It's individual nature. So when there is a continuous thought process, mind is thinking, thoughts are coming continuously. So the mind is working continuously means it can move from one thought to other with the help of vayu. So you are moving vayu also beyond your requirement. Understand? So thoughts are happening continuously means vayu is moving continuously, especially pranama. Okay, chinta. What's the meaning of chinta? Shoka means a depressed status. Any causative atmosphere is fine. Depressed status means mind is running. Everybody could have experienced at least once in a while. Suppose you fail in an examination. What is the status of mind? A direct failure. You feel that the mind is down, low. Isn't it? Some people come out easily, some people it takes more time. So that feeling of low doesn't mean that mind is not functioning. Mind is more functioning in such a status. You can just imagine your own experience. Mind is low, mind will be working inside, you don't express it, that's all. But it will be thinking too much about what would happen. This is what is known as slow. Again, the thoughts are coming faster. You are provoking the movement of all anasa in the body. Okay. Chinta, Shobha. Next is bhaya. How do you develop bhaya? Fear. According to psychology, if you are thinking too much about the future, this also need not be a disease. A lot of people are having this nature. You are concerned about what would happen next day, like that. Think too much about it, what will happen next. If you develop such a nature, to think of tomorrow, like that you go on thinking, you cannot stop anymore. And your focus is not on the present, always on the future. These status is generally known as anxiety. This is known as anxiety. And you are thinking about days together to come. So at one point of time you cannot control. And thoughts will be coming again about tomorrow. So at the point where there is no clear conclusion, the self is the fear. So we also say they will come on anxiety-related atmosphere. Anxiety is not a disease, but anxiety is a continuous thought process about the future. Your mind is focused on the future. When it is continuously happening, you cannot put a full stop anywhere. The result is, when there is no conclusion, fear is the result. So, for the fear, bhaya, to happen, there is a strong, speedy mind working, focused on the future. Whereas, generally when we say depressed status, we are more focused on the past. What happened like that? It happened to me like that. Always focus is on the past. When it is thoroughly focused on the past, you are depressed. When it is thoroughly focused on the future, you have anxiety. Because these two factors, future and past, are unrealistic and present is more realistic. Mind is focused on the realistic plane. Will be focused more on the present. That mind is normal. Other two things, mind is not normal. Thought process will be very fast. And those thoughts coming very fast are connected to Vayu. You are concerned with the Vayu nature coming up in the body. Vayu nature coming up. So we see emotional status also can contribute to the Vada nature. Then secondly, if you go on asking towards the past history, certain people are born even with this kind of nature in the mind. So we have to stretch it into even past life, because mind is taken from the past birth. Body is also coming from there, mind is also coming from there. So certain things are attributed even to the past life and stretched very much back to that. To say Viprabhishtan, other things are Sannikrishtan. So the concern is how far mind is normally. If you understand normalcy of the mind, then only this will be easier. How it is connected to all. So you are concerned with Vada nature coming from different angles. It can be stretched like that. To confirm that what you have seen is Vada dominant atmosphere. So the importance of Vedana is, so as I explained earlier, dosha is the same is the self-content knowledge of these exercises. Rupam, Guru, and Nidana. So a mental exercise you are taking up. As a result of that, you get a conclusion, a conclusive knowledge of which dosha is involved, which dhavu is affected, where is the dysfunction. If such a knowledge is made, you call it as pathogenesis, sampranti. So if you say total knowledge of what has happened in the body in terms of vata pitta. Okay? It can be confirmed with what we say upasaya. Remember that there is no negative trial, it's only positive trial. So only to confirm what you have already gathered. The connection of vata pitta status already gathered through these rest of the stages. You are just confirming with food or medicine or antibiotics. No negative trial. What is the implication of this knowledge process? As I told you, Panchakshara Nidana, we have stretched back into the normalcy of the body, or even the entire Shastra methodology. Same way, the knowledge of Panchakshara Nidana can be stretched, should be stretched into the Chikitsa process. There is no purpose of this knowledge. How far you can stretch it into the chikitsa process. So, chikitsa is basically samprati. So, if you don't know how such a disease has happened, how do you think of reversing the process? So, the entire effort of doing initiating chikitsa with the medicine, with the food, with an activity that you would suggest to a patient is based on your understanding. Okay, it's not medicine curing a disease like the other system. Whatever you utter, it may be a medicine, you say you take it 3 days, 5 days, your calculation. You say don't take this food, it's your calculation. Say don't walk too much, don't run, don't go for exercise. This is an outcome of your understanding about the disease. So your understanding is based on this Purusha related Panchadakshana Vidhana. Accordingly, only you will be suggesting a medicine or a food or a bhakya or an activity or whatever is needed to deal with that situation. So, every treatment procedure is based 50% on what you know about the disease process. You cannot blame the system, you cannot blame Ayurveda whenever it is failed. I've seen usually people say, I've tried all Ayurvedic medicines, there's no use. You have not tried all Ayurvedic medicine, but you have not tried knowledge of it. We easily blame, we shift the responsibility. The result of treatment is 50% based on your knowledge in some practice. Have you gone through that? No. This is not to question anybody. This is a question you need to ask yourself. Why should we act in front of others? I am satisfied with my knowledge, I am happy. If I know it very clearly, I am happy. I will be doing a knowledgeable exercise. I will not blame system or book or that medicine. If you know it, you know it. That is it. If you don't know it, paste. You cannot blame and escape. So when you say this medicine, then Indran Thailand, it's not a south. It's not a south. It's based on a knowledgeable calculation of samprati. If this calculation has happened, whatever you suggest, even it can go wrong, but you have an option to look back and correct yourself. If you don't have a calculation, you say low back pain. I assure you, throughout India, Kadivasti is claimed as a wonderful treatment, isn't it? Kadivasti. Just to keep a little oil on the back with some wheat powder. You were actually famous for that. Any layman can do that. You have a pain and little oil is retained. Whatever way you make, you have even Kadivasti another days away. What is the too much technical about? There is an L4, L5 injury, there is an L4, L5 pathology. Are you looking to L4, L5? Then it is allowed. This is not allowed. You are concerned, why did we get a weakness in the lower? It can be stretched to direct positive factors, like continuous sitting. It has to be stretched into some other diseases, like Vadavyadhanidhanam says, Arsas Adisadam Grahani Gulnam kind of diseases, which can contribute to Vada nature continuously. and it can be treated. Vada is maintained from which is Vadasthana? Here? So what do you do Vasti actually? Ready Vasti or actual Vasti? According to Ayurveda, you have maintained Vada nature means you need to do Vasti. You must be there enough to do Vasti, not Kadi Vasti. Kadi Vasti anybody can do. 15 and 4 and 5 is affected easily. Your concern is how it has happened. L4, L5 anybody can say with an X-ray or a scan. How this has happened to this individual. Then you are stretching that information back and coming to some conclusion. He has a history of abscess or he has a history of tyranny. So always there is Vada nature. So that has to be addressed. Then Vada can be stabilized by doing a Vasti to him. Along with that, you apply oil not on the back alone. Is it? What is other important Vadasthana? You must be bold enough to say that. Whether it is a back pain or neck pain or knee pain, as an Ayurveda student, you must be able to say that we put oil throughout the body, not on the spot. When you apply it on the spot, you deal with anatomy. When you apply it all over the body, which is the most porous part in the body, most openings in the body are on the skin, through which the oily nature, Sindha content can be transferred. So you are doing Advaita for whole body if you are doing it in Ayurvedic way. If you are doing Ayurveda in allopathic way, you say Kadi Vasti because L4. There's a difference. Your concern is how it has happened to this individual. So the root can be different. Somebody having a gynae nature, somebody having an abscess. Both can have back. Your medicines are different. It's not same medicine. Background atmosphere you are clearing, then Vada nature you are reducing. Externally it is the skin, internally definitely it is the Pakwasya, which is a seat of Vada, where the dryness is maintained in the body, water absorption is done, the large intestine, to maintain the minimum dryness required. So you call it as Vadasthana. So more dryness anywhere in the body, you will be looking into Pakwasya. And your treatment should be there, either through internal medicine or through Vasti, either through Samana or Saurana. That is Ayurveda. Other one is you are looking through the prism of modern science into Ayurveda. It can be effective. It may not be effective also. Then you blame. I have done 10 Kadi Vasti, still it is not working. Your options are limited. Otherwise you have many other options. You understand? So Samprapti Vigadanam is a basic thing. Whatever treatment you are doing. So if you know Samprapti, then only treatment is effective. Second thing is Pragati Sthapanam Chikitsa. If you do not know what is Pragati, what is the question of Chikitsa? So Pragati, as I explained earlier, it is entire Shila nature. Are something which will establish all Dhadus, which are Smita in nature. So ultimately you are relieving the symptoms, clear out whatever is accumulated in the body, unwanted Smita part is cleared, then pure Smita part is re-established. Pure Smita comes from either milk or ghee. That's why medicines are given in ghee media or milk media. Rasayana is a process by which you are establishing pure Smita status, Smita status to all mammals. Typical Rasayana is Brahma Rasayana or even Chalakas. Amalagi is doing the Smita Shila nature. You have 300 Amalagis, 100 Amalagis. Anything is creating the Suddhi, Amalagi is establishing Siddha nature. It's a typical Rasayana. So your treatment will not be complete to just relieve the symptom and leave the patient. When we talk about Chikitsa, books will say 100%. How you bring back the normal status as per this standard. Symptoms are over, you cannot leave it there. To ensure that the body is brought back to the normalcy. So, if you don't know what is the normalcy in the body in terms of prevention, this exercise nobody will take up. So, to have a perfect understanding of what you are doing as a physician, one is you must have an understanding of what is the normalcy of the body in terms of body. This will help you to understand the disease process, changes in the body, that is a disease process in terms of body. Both together will ensure that you are selecting the medicines, Aushadhis, through the prism of body. Understand? You have an option to become 100% perfect, which is not easy thing, but you also can have 50% perfection. Even that also can bring about a positive change. Thing is that if you are intellectually open, you will be never burdened with any idea of this medicine, this disease, this medicine, this disease. Don't go for that. It's not the symptom of a free intellect. Just leave it open till your calculation is complete. Then think of a medicine. It's easy to have such an understanding. The moment you see a patient, oh, this is what I researched for. Then your brain is shut up. Don't go for that. Till you get a clear picture of what has happened, don't leave any conclusions. Wait for that, then your calculations can be different. So, as I told you, understand Panchalakshan Dhyana is complete, then only reversing will be easy. This understanding is not there, then it is a blunt exercise of giving some medicine, even if it is effective. You cannot derive the happiness or satisfaction out of it. Next. Same is a thing. You are understanding about what is Prakriti, how the disease process is happening from the Prakriti. Based on that only you will be re-establishing the Prakriti. Siddha and Ushna atmosphere. From Snigdha Siddha to Snigdha Ushna. Ushna is dominant, then gradually the Ushna nature, Snigdha is gone down. This is what happens to all diseases. Ushna nature is precipitated. So your work is to re-establish Snigdha nature with the Siddha, that also will be possible with sufficient agreement. So this is what we are doing under the rules. So it is also based on your understanding of the normals. So Prakriti is understood, the same angle Vikriti is understood in terms of Vata Pitta. Same angle you are analyzing the medicines. Medicines are also identified in terms of Vata Pitta. Understand? So you need 100% conviction in the theory of body. So it has happened. Generally, nowadays people think it is a dead theory. Overall understanding that it is a dead theory, or it's not something else. It's not like that. It is a very live theory, it is a permanent theory. If you are intelligent enough, you can continuously work on that. It's not a stagnated understanding. It's an ongoing process. You are learning what people are. It's a correct understanding of the changes in the body, for which you need a name. We are talking about whatever changes is happening in the body. Now how you feel it, experience it. So those changes are named as Vata. That's all. They are not just terms. They imply the changes which you can visualize, which you can feel, which you can directly experience, even in your body. So something which you can intellectually deal with, continuously deal with. If you have a conviction in that field. Okay, and this is what is absolutely lacking in academics. Conviction. Everybody will talk about Vata and all hours together. But when it comes to a practical understanding, conviction is missing. You don't have 100% conviction that this really will work. That is what we need actually. So everything understood in terms of Vata Pitta. Come to the conclusion. So just be very clear that doshas are functional understanding. Any attempt to make it structural, like Vata is nervous system, or maximum you can say acetylcholine. The top person in the field of Ayurveda has created that theory 20 years back. Vata is acetylcholine. So I say dosha is functional, not structural. Any attempt to make it structural and scientific will not be showing up in the treatment procedure. Even if it is acetylcholine, how do you differentiate between anandrathyme and sagarthyme? It's not possible. If this is not happening, what is the use of such a correlation? For whom you are making that correlation? What is advantage? Even if it sounds that it can be correlated, what is the use of it? You cannot utilize that information in the practical field. It's not possible. It's not needed. To have a clarity on this, you can differentiate them into time and something. Okay. So what I say is it is functional understanding of the changes happening in the body. Doshas, not structural. Structural understanding is more connected to seven dharus as well as panchabhutas. So changing gunas, you understand every second they are changing in the body. Whether you have disease or not, these properties are subjected to change according to what you eat, what you act. Okay, this is what you are observing closely. So, according to this understanding, the properties of medicines are added, just like you are playing chess. According to the calculations, medicines having similar properties, gunas you are adding, you are deleting, adding, deleting like that to create the interbalance. So it is more like a work of a physician than the medicine which is working. Be very clear on that. Prayoga Samaya Vyadi. Revium Samaya Vyadi. No word is good. Prayoga Samaya Vyadi. Your application is curing means intellectual application is curing a disease. The ginger in the kitchen is a food. Same ginger in the hands of a physician is a wonderful medicine. Provided you know what is the context in which ginger is indicated. Especially in the right context in a jwara. Pustapapnam jware sundhya. If you understand that context, then sundhi is a medicine. Ginger is a medicine. Otherwise ginger is a kitchen aid. There is a difference between a dravyam and an aushadam. Aushadam is contextually potentiated. Context has to be understood by the physician in terms of Vata. Otherwise it's only just an appetizer. You say ginger, just appetizer. Whereas ginger is a wonderful medicine in a right context. So Prayoga Samaya Vyadi, you must understand, the gunas of medicines done in the right context gives a knowledgeable result. You are knowingly cure the disease. Otherwise, a blunt exercise. We give a medicine, result is there. It's a blunt exercise. You don't know how it is happening. When you undertake this exercise, give a medicine, same result is there. You are doing a work knowingly, knowledgeably. Let us make this process as a knowledgeable exercise where you derive immense amount of satisfaction and disease is cured. A blunt cure is a wonder. I gave that medicine, disease disappearing. It's a wonder. Knowledgeable exercise, you feel contented, you feel satisfied. Okay, that is all I have to say about it. So thank you very much for your patient hearing.